Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trinity Competitive Racing for Season 15 of the Golden Class. And as you can tell on the screen, it is going to be a wet event. 10 drivers here with 3 minutes left in qualifying session. We had a little bit of difficulties because Aircast fucking sucks, but we are here for qualifying. My name is Camden Luca, and we will kick things off with 2 races left in the Trinity Competitive Racing season with the Drivers' Championship already wrapped up. SBM did clinch the Drivers' Championship last week in Hungary in the sprint and 3-tire special weekend, and he's looking for win number 8 of the season. He's starting out today pretty good with a 130.941. Right behind him, though, a pair of Red Bulls doing pretty well in this very rainy qualifying session. As you can tell by the blue tires, it is going to be a wet event, but Red Bull second and third with Ben Swerven ahead of Segrist. We do have a Constructors' Championship on the line, but real quick, SBM improving his time to a 130.773, about 4/10 quicker than Ben Swerven, but we do have a Constructors' Championship that is still on the line, and McLaren looking good with both Raiden and Main Wayne in the race tonight. But they are 4 points behind Mercedes, as Main Wayne does get ahead of his Mercedes rival with a 130.751, only 200ths ahead of his championship rival in the drivers, SBM. I'm sure Main Wayne would like to get at least one more win before the season is out. Like I said last week, his chances at a Drivers' Championship was eliminated, so I'm sure he'll do everything in his power to try and at least get the Constructors' Championship for McLaren. And with him and his teammate here tonight, looking pretty good for McLaren to overtake Mercedes for the lead in the championship. But we do have 15 turns tonight, and it looks like F&D Cakes is rounding the final corner to come to the finish line. A 133.7 puts him P8, and his teammates a little bit ahead of him, but looks like he is going to try and get one more lap in. So, a minute left in qualifying. This is where everybody is going to try and get at least one more lap in. We do only have 10 people here tonight, so as long as you just finish the race, you'll be all set and ready to go. But SBM with a 130.5. improving his lap, and with the rain, you can do back-to-back laps. If you have enough fuel saved up in the car, you can do back-to-back laps. The battery does not burn out as much in the rain, so you can easily go and do 2 laps in a row, which is looking like that's what SBM did, and many drivers have done that. Both Red Bulls have done 6 laps here in qualifying, and I don't think they're going to get any more laps in, but Charles looking to get maybe one more lap in. He has a 131.479. It's an P5 on the grid, and he's looking for a pretty good run tonight. He was not here last week in Hungary for the sprint and the feature race, and you look at the championship grid, he is in P15 in the standings, looking to maybe get his best finish of the year. And if you go into the stat book, his best finish on the year is P7, so this would put him in a good spot to get his best finish of the season. But qualifying is ticking down towards the end. C. Rizzi is invalid. His qualifying is over. F&D Cakes has crossed the line, so Alpine 7th and 8th right now. But Omega still on a lap, and we got to mention him real quick because Omega got his career best finish last week in TCR with a second place in Hungary, and honestly, if he had one more lap, he might have been able to track down SBM for the win, which, speaking of him, SBM just got into the 29s, so SBM has been perfect all season long, and he is continuing to show his dominance even after the Drivers' Championship has already been wrapped up. But Main Wayne, his arch nemesis all year, the guy who has been closest to him week in and week out, is invalid, so he will sit in P2 for now. But what about Omega? What can Omega do here? He is sitting close to a 34, roughly in the 33.9s, and he is the last driver that will have a say at this pole position. And you know what that did for Omega? That actually helped him jump 5 spots in the championship by finishing second last week. At the line, he does move up a spot ahead of FND Cakes into P8. But that will do it. SBM gets a pole position, and as a matter of fact, this does tie him for the most poles on the season with FND Cakes with 4. So although SBM has 7 wins on the year, and if you include the sprints, he's got even more than that. He hasn't been as proficient in qualifying, but I mean, 4 pole positions is still really good. So JMB SBM clinched the Drivers' Championship last week. So Drivers is all wrapped up, but Constructors is very close between he and the McLaren guys, as you see, both of them in the race today. So McLaren looking to possibly overtake Mercedes for the lead. So looking like it's going to be right down to the wire at the end of the season. Raikkonen, I see you in the comments. Welcome. It's good to see everybody here. Leave your predictions down in the comments. It is going to be a wet event. So, and from what I have heard, it might be really wet. So, buckle up. This might be a crap fest. But I figured I should do my predictions first because I'm the only one commentating tonight. But yeah, who do I pick? I mean, I guess the obvious choice is SPM, right? He got the pole in the wet, and well, actually, I want to see how wet it is. And yep, it is just as wet as it was in qualifying. So yeah, I'm going to have to pick SPM. I really liked his pace in qualifying. You can't go wrong with him. He literally has not put a single foot wrong all season long. As a matter of fact, SBM has a perfect podium streak going right now. So I think SBM is the guy to pick. Yeah, that might be a boring pick, but that's the pick I'm going for. P2? I'm going to go Main Wayne. I really think this race is going to benefit the people who are consistent. And if you look at Main Wayne and SBM, those two have not had a single DNF all year. So I'm going to pick them first and second. Raiden hasn't been as consistent, so I am not going to put him in the podium. Let's see. Yeah, let's get the grid pulled up here. I just want to take a look at where people are starting. And I want to make sure everyone puts on the wets. Yeah, everybody puts on the wet tires. And yeah, I like the fact that Charles is starting in P3 here. I'm not going to pick him for my third spot, though. I'm going to go... this is tough. Yeah, I'm going to go Segrist. I'll go Segrist P3. So I got SBM, Main Wayne, and Segrist in my top 3. We'll see if the commentator's curse comes into play, but a lot can happen with a full wet race. Definitely should be entertaining. There's 15 turns around this track, a lot of high-speed corners, a couple of slow-speed corners like the hairpin you just saw right there that these drivers are going through. You have a couple of slower corners coming up. This right-hander right here, it's very easy to lose the back end of the car through turns 10 and 11 right here. That's Portimao. That is the section right there of the track. I will try not to butcher the names of this track. I do not speak Portuguese, though, so I'll give it my best shot. But if the worst thing comes, then I'll just refer to the corners by their numbers, which is the proper thing to do. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But SBM looking to add on to his win total. And you know what? We do have 2 races left, and SBM is very close to possibly breaking the record, or at least tying the Golden Class win total record. I'll pull that up afterwards just in case if SBM wins today. I know that he doesn't already have the record, so it'll only come into play if he wins tonight. But I know SBM is closing in on possibly tying or breaking the win total record, which is pretty impressive considering he's only gotten all of his wins in Season 15. So SBM looking to make history along with winning the championship. But everybody is slotting into order. It looks like everybody parked perfectly, so they can park in the wet, but they can't park in the dry. Okay, I'll take note of that. But here we are in the rain for round 13 of the Golden Class. Lights out and away we go from the Portuguese Grand Prix. Who gets off the line good? SPM doesn't get a great start. Main Wayne is side by side with him. Down to turn 1 they go. Main Wayne has the advantage. They're side by side. A little bit of contact was made in turn 1. SPM has to check up a little bit as they head into turn 3. Main Wayne and him still neck and neck. But Main Wayne will get the advantage and the lead out of turn 4. SBM pressured by Ben Swerven as they head down into the hairpin. Ben Swerven around the outside. SBM might get the better launch off the corner. Where's SBM? There he is. Side by side now. Down into these pair of right-hand corners. Ben Swerven overtaking SBM on lap 1. So SBM losing 2 spots off the line. Not a great start from him, but it is a long race, and if there's one person you do not count out, it is SBM, as trouble in the back for PBW. He spins out of Samsung. That is turn 8. And he is looking to have better laps here coming up. But, checking back in with the midfield, things very tight here. Look at this train. All the way up through about 4th spot. Raiden has a gap up to SBM. But single file as they head through the last 2 corners. This high-speed right-hander, you do not want to take flat-footed in the rain. In the dry, you definitely can take that flat-footed, but these guys will be lifting out of the gas here through that corner as we complete lap 1. Let's take a look at the positions gained and lost. Raiden gained 2 spots off the line. Good start from him. Sir Charles had that good starting position. He did lose 2 spots down in P5. And C. Rizzy as well is the caboose of this train. He is right behind his teammates in P9. And we'll see how these two race each other. Whether or not C. Rizzy has the advantage on FND Cakes. It looks like, yeah, is FND going to let him through here? I think I had a pretty good eye on that. C. Rizzy getting by FND Cakes. Good teamwork by the Alpines. And I know you guys love the helicopter shots. I don't know if we're going to get any here today. We'll see. It's not as easy for helicopters to fly in dangerous weather, so we'll see if we get any helicopter camera views in this race. But things pretty civilized right now. A pretty single file, I would say, with PBW being miles behind everybody else. He did have a spin through turn 8, and that puts him pretty far behind the rest of the grid. And you know, one thing I do want to keep in mind is corner cutting, because we did see plenty of corner cutting penalties yesterday in the Silver Class race, and with it raining, and especially with hard rain, it's even harder to stay on the track. So I'm sure we're going to see plenty of penalties as the lap times starting to improve. Ben Swerven showing pretty good pace here early on, but his teammate under pressure now from Sir Charles, and I believe Segrist has another overtake completed. Sir Charles losing 3 spots off the line, and yep, that might have been his first warning right there on the race. Sir Charles going a little bit wide. PBW in the pits. It's hard to get wing damage on this track just because the track is pretty wide open and there's not many walls that you can hit, but maybe PBW got some wing damage on the front of that car, and yep, he is going to replace that wing. So a tough start for the AlphaTauri driver, but he is looking to put himself in a better spot. Maybe if a safety car comes out, he can get back into this. At the front, yeah, look at Ben Swerven showing his pace here early on, and he's been solid all year long, but his best finish actually is 5th place, so this would be a season best by a mile for Ben Swerven, and he had some unfortunate circumstances last week in Hungary. He actually disconnected in the sprint race, which didn't allow him to compete in the main race, and he lost out on a lot of points. He's sitting P11 in the standings, but looking for a season best possible win in Portimao today, and you saw him get a little sideways there, trying to get the throttle down. It's not as easy as it looks, especially in the rain here at this track. And Ben Swerven improving on his best lap, but his teammate also getting fastest lap. those Red Bulls came to play, and oh, we had a helicopter view right there. Gonna have to get that pulled up. Let's check in with the midfield real quick. Omega has gained a spot off the line. Looks like Sir Charles, though, has gone very deep in turn 3, and that allows Omega to close in on him down the back straightaway. Now, this would be the second DRS area, but because of the rain, no DRS in this race. So this will be very battery dependent. No DRS to be had here, as C Rizzy starting to close in a little bit on Omega. Omega misses Apex a little bit in turn 7, which allows C Rizzy to close in just slightly on him as they head downhill. I think that's the closest you'll get to a roller coaster in Formula 1. The uphill and downhill sections of this track, there is no better elevation change than Portugal. So I almost feel like we should get like a cart, you know, like one of those roller coaster cars, and just put them on this track, because it might be as entertaining. But Sir Charles missing just about every apex. He misses another one right there that allowed Omega to close in, but Omega went pretty deep there through that corner as well. So this could be a good battle shaping up between these 3 drivers. And as I mentioned earlier, Omega had a career best 2nd place last week in Hungary and came, I think, within 1 lap of winning the race. He was closing in on those soft tires and just didn't have enough time to get it happen. So Omega looking for another good finish today. This time in the heavy rain, so he's going to have a little bit of work cut out for him, but he is getting pressurized by C Rizzy in that Alpine, who does get a great exit out of turn 4. He's using the battery, and he looks to the inside into the hairpin. Omega is going to have to file in line. C Rizzy has the overtake. And now Omega is in an Alpine sandwich between 7th and 9th places on the track through Sector 2, and he's just going to have to be the meat of the sandwich for now, unless if he wants to improve a little bit on his pace, and then he can be the top slice of the bread. But for now, he'll just have to be the meat in the sandwich. Or the cheese, if you're a vegetarian. I don't judge. Check back in with P2. SBM lost a couple of spots off the line, but he is starting to close that gap back in on Ben Swerven. It is a long race, but he's going to have to do a little bit more here to get back in contention. I have noticed he is 100% on the battery, so he's definitely not pushing things right away. But Raiden Shogun is pushing. You look at him draining the battery, trying to stay within his constructor rival in SBM, who is 4 points ahead of the McLaren duo going into this race. So McLaren will get the lead in constructors as of now and put themselves in a great position going into Belgium next week. And if I do the math, actually, let's see, 38 points as of now for the McLaren guys and 15 for Mercedes. So that would put it at around a 20-point swing going into Belgium, which just about wraps things up as long as they both show up to next week. So drivers is wrapped up, but constructors is tight. So these guys definitely still have stuff to go for, especially SPM, who did wrap up the Drivers' Championship, but if he wants to get both championships, he's going to have to really win the race today, I believe, because his teammate Tebow is not in attendance. So I think SPM still needs to do everything in his power to have a great race today, even though there's nothing on the line in the drivers. But Raiden has been using that battery a little bit more. He's definitely trying to stay within range of SPM and maybe apply the pressure here as SPM tries to close back in. And we do have a helicopter shot. Let's get this in. Our first helicopter view of the day in a rainy Portugal race. And really, I think it's funny that we have a rain race today because last week the strategy was as chaotic as it gets. We had the 3-tire special, so it was a mandatory dry race. We put it on to clear conditions. That way the 3-tire strategy would come into play. But today it's just going to be straightforward. Just pit off of these things one time, and that's about it. So FND Cake's not helping himself out at all on lap 7. He's already got a 3-second time penalty. FND, we're going to have to take you out back. You have been very naughty. Do I have the song ready from last week? Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea, Raikkonen. PBW spins off the final corner, and I'll keep the song ready just in case if it happens again. You really want to cue the song just as it's happening. It'll make for good short material for this week's shorts. See, Rizzy might be applying the pressure to Sir Charles, as Sir Charles is really trying to put the foot down as, I think we have a spin from FND Cakes. Where's the song? I gotta get the song pulled up. Alright, I don't have the song ready just yet, but once somebody spins out again, I will have it all tuned up and ready to go. So, yeah, good idea, Raikkonen. I'm just adding on to all of my little bits that I have here in the booth. So, next season I'll be all prepped with all sorts of stuff. It's good to finish off the season, you know, adding on to the playlist of stuff to do. But see, Rizzy still. Here we go. F&D Cakes does a 360. F&D Cakes, you are the first victim of the song. Congratulations. Raikkonen, thanks for the reminder. I'm glad I remembered to do that now. Well, you know what? If you are a TCR driver, just know that you are at risk of being subjected to that song. So that's another incentive to not spin out and not make mistakes. But I think Ben Swerven might have made a mistake here because SBM is now as close as he has been since lap 1. And he is looking to make an overtake happen. But for now, P6 side by side. Sir Charles going wide, and he has to concede the position. So Sir Charles started up front, but he is going towards the back of the grid. He has now lost 4 spots off the line. So not what you want to be doing. You want to be going forward. If you watched the NASCAR race on Monday, you would know that Kyle Busch does not like going forward. He likes going in reverse. Quite literally. Whoa, look at this train forming here towards the front of the grid. 2nd through 5th very tight as, PVW has gone around, and I don't want to overplay this, but we have to embrace them when they happen. It's a very spread out grid, so you got to embrace the spins when they happen. His teammate has been naughty. We're going to have to take Omega out back, along with his teammate. And F&D Cakes. Omega and F&D Cakes, both with penalties. PVW hasn't necessarily been naughty, he just hasn't been doing anything right, as it looks like he does have a broken wing. The front left end plate is in shambles, so PVW is going to make a second trip into the pits, or maybe he'll stay out. Nope, he's going to come into the pits. Man, that was close. A last-second decision to come into the pits. He nearly pulled a Matt Roofer and juked the pit lane, but he said otherwise, and I don't blame him because, he's going to retire, so that's probably why he came into the pits. It was a tough race for PVW, and you know what? I understand, it's been a tough race. He's frustrated, but with only 10 people here tonight, you might as well just finish the race and get a point. Maybe he had a dinner reservation. Maybe he had to go eat something hot, spice, and everything nice, as Seafreeze would say. But this lead at the front is getting really tight. Ben Swerven is closing in on Main Wayne. And really, you look at the front 5 of the grid, things are pretty close as Segrist is a little ways back, as trouble for FND Cakes. He is spun out of turn 3. It has not been a great showing from him. He's down in P12. But like I said, you just need to finish the race and you'll get something. And with FND Cakes, he's going to get at least 2 points if he just finishes where he's at. And if we check in on the championship real quick, FND Cakes is P6. Only 8 points behind GMBZ for 5th. And with Tebow not racing either, who he is also battling in the championship, FND Cakes could get a top 5 finish in the standings when it's all said and done this season. So I really would encourage FND to at least finish the race and not do what PBW has just done, which he has just left the session. So he's definitely going to need some sort of a safety car and a lot of help now that he's got that 3-second penalty on his name. Same with Omega as well. He's got that 3-second penalty, but he is a little ways back from Sir Charles, so Omega also going to need a little bit of help here as the race goes on. And strategy really won't come into play. All these guys are going to have to pit for new tires at some point, but that's it. It's just going to be a very straightforward, just pit for a new set of tires and you'll be on your way. So, yeah, very straightforward race. I am noticing it looks like the rain might be letting up a little bit, so maybe these guys will transition to intermediate tires before the race is over, but I have learned with this game and with how unpredictable these drivers are to never really predict how strategy is going to go. So we'll see what they do, but I am noticing it looks like the rain is letting up just a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. Ben Swerven, man, he has really shown excellent pace today and is starting to close back in on Ben's main Wayne. The gap has fluctuated a little bit since the start of the race, but he's looking to gain a little bit, and he is starting to be a little more aggressive with the battery. As a matter of fact, he is draining it down the front straightaway as they head into turn 1. It's now about a half a second between these two as they head into turn 3. Ben Swerven really sending it in, shifting down to first gear. Man, I think the lowest gear I take at this track might be 4th gear, actually. Might be 3rd. Yeah, I think it's 3rd, but I short shift to 4th. So, yeah, Ben Swerven all the way down to first gear. And I think we are in for a good battle as this race goes on, because these guys are all slowly getting closer as we have another spin from FND Cakes towards the back of the grid. Whoa, drifting his way through turn 3. He might need to do a little less of that if he wants to stay in the race, as I bet his tires are cooking. Yeah, they say, you know, the phrase, let him cook. We want FND Cakes to cook, but we don't want his tires to cook. That's not ideal. So, let him cook. Just don't let him cook his tires, I guess. But hopefully things get pointed in the right direction for him, as SBM is getting pointed in the right direction. Look at the run he's got on Ben Swerven, but Ben Swerven chooses to go into the pits. And that was probably a good time, as SBM was right on his tail out of turn 15, probably applying all the pressure in the world to him. So good time for him to pit. But Ben Swerven, here we go. Pits for the intermediate tires. I did notice that the rain was letting up, so that's probably the right decision. And you know what? That's probably going to prompt everybody else to come in after him into the pits here on lap 13. FND Cakes in the pits, I can assume, to put on intermediate tires. We'll see what he does here. I'm assuming that's why he's in the pits. Yep, to put on intermediate. So this, well, I said that strategy really wasn't going to be very colorful today, but it is indeed going to be colorful, as we will be switching from blue to green tires here very shortly. I'm sure Main Wayne will follow him in, but you know what? I have not seen Main Wayne use much of the battery, neither SBM, and typically, you know, when you come into the pits, you want to push a little bit on your in-lap as much as you can, especially in the rain, because you get all the battery back, but maybe these guys aren't going to pit here. Let's take a look at what they do. Main Wayne stays out, SBM stays out. Interesting, okay. Well, we're going to see what Ben Swerven does on this next lap and whether or not he does get the fastest lap. And I do just want to observe him and just see what his pace is like throughout this next lap, because I think it's very interesting that nobody else is pitting. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the top 6 all staying out. Omega is opting to pit. Let's see what he does. I can assume he's going to option for the intermediate tires, but the fact that everybody else stayed out... Yep, he is going to pit for intermediates. Okay. Interesting. I am going to keep my eye on Ben Swerven here as he exits Sector 1. I just want to see where his lap time compares. He is just about even on his best lap, which I think is interesting because I assume that lap from before was probably put towards the beginning of the race when the wet tires were a little fresher. So I'll be curious as to what he puts down for a lap, but it looks like we're at the point to where you could either be on intermediate or wet tires. That's just the vibe I'm getting right now. So that does not make it easy for the drivers, nor the commentators, to really judge what is going to happen, as both of these guys remaining to stay on the track, and SBM is trying to be more aggressive as he uses a lot of the battery on the front straightaway, and he is now within half a second of Main Wayne for the lead. And this could be net P1 if Ben Swerven doesn't gain much time on those intermediate tires, and we'll see where he is at coming to the line. He does improve by a 10th, so intermediates might be the faster tire, but not by much. These guys at the front might have made the right decision to stay out for an extra couple of laps, but I can imagine they'll be coming in at some point pretty soon, because the rain is letting up, just from what I've noticed. Uh-oh. F&D Cakes has gone around. And I am so tempted to play the song, but I don't want to be too mean, because F&D Cakes has had quite a good number of spins. SBM in second place. F&D Cakes spins out of turn 15. I might have to play the song at this point. It has not been a good race for F&D Cakes. Let's take a look at SBM. Let's see if he pits. Nope, he's going to stay out. As a matter of fact, they both... Interesting. All these guys putting down fastest laps. I want to take a look at Ben Swerven's pace here. We'll see if his pace improves. Yeah, he might be struggling a little bit. Let's see where he's at coming to the line. Okay, so he's improving. Yeah, I don't know what to think. Maybe it's just these guys are just burning fuel. I don't know how the top 5 can all improve on their laps. Yeah, it could just be the fuel. Could just be the fuel. But I don't know what to think with strategy. We'll see what happens. And these guys all staying out for now on wet tires, including both McLaren drivers and the one Mercedes representative in this race. So the Constructors' Championship still very spicy at this point in the race, as we are nearing the halfway point of the Portuguese Grand Prix. I believe we have a helicopter shot. Got to get one more helicopter view in for the first half of the race. I think that's become my signature bit in the booth here, so always making sure we get at least one in per race, but it's a very spread out grid. 9 drivers left in the race, and I think these guys should just all finish. Omega, F and D Cakes pretty far back. Omega and Ben Swerven did pit, so they are on pit strategy, but F and D Cakes is pretty far back. But here we go. See Rizzy coming into the pits. Sir Charles coming into the pits. Let's see what they do. These conditions have lightened up. Ben Swerven gets the fastest lap. And yep, it is time to put on the intermediate tires. Sir Charles putting on a fresh set of green tires. Now, this is where things get interesting for the leaders. First through fourth, all within a second of each other. And I think this could really dictate who wins this race, depending on who pits when. If I were the leaders, I would have pitted like 5 laps ago, but they can do whatever they want. But we'll see what they do here. They really have not pushed the battery at all, so I can imagine they're going to keep staying out. Which, I mean, you look at the conditions, they've gotten a lot better, and as the race goes on, like I said earlier, you're going to burn fuel, so the conditions are going to keep getting quicker. Yep, they make the right decision, and they come into the pits. The top 2 in the pits, Raiden and Segrist, making the incorrect decision to stay out. Let's take a look at where Ben Swerven comes out in comparison to SBM and Main Wayne. Look at this. Look at how they are coming out of the pit lane. Nose to tail is SBM and Main Wayne coming out of the pits, but they have a fast Ben Swerven who just got the fastest lap and is approaching turn 1. He goes around the outside of SBM, and he overtakes both of them for P1. Ben Swerven made the right decision to pit early on those intermediate tires, and he inherits the lead, at least net P1 for the time being, on lap 18, but he is under pressure from SBM in the Mercedes as they head into the hairpin. Things are getting very close between these two. Ben Swerven drifting on corner exit. That backs up SBM. It allows Main Wayne to pressure him, going into the right-hander of turns 7 and 8. Main Wayne will slot into P5 for the time being, but it is net P3 on track as we are looking at the strategy. Boy, SPM was pushing it out of that corner and into the downhill section. Now let's check back in with the top 2. I can imagine they're going to pit. Segrist stays out. Raiden comes into the pits. And if there's anybody that is going to stay out in this situation, it is Segrist. He is the guy to take risks on strategy. So it doesn't surprise me to see that. So Charles, 3-second time penalty. That adds him on to the list of naughty participants. If you are naughty, you will be taken out back. Uh-oh! Sir Charles being a little too naughty there as he is really struggling for grip. Uh-oh! SBM has made a mistake. And he slots in behind both McLaren drivers. Yeah, look at Raiden. He comes out in P2, actually. So, SBM and Main Wayne racing each other. That allows Raiden Shogun to maximize the overcut. And he slots in the P2. So this race, for the win, is going to be spicy as they get towards the closing laps of this race. And really, any one of these guys, 2nd through 5th, could win this race. Because you never count out SBM. Looked like he had possibly made a mistake there in turn 1, but he's had a perfect podium streak all season long. It's in jeopardy right now. Segrist will pit, and we'll see where he comes out, but SBM, regardless, is in jeopardy of not getting a podium, and I can imagine he wants to get by Main Wayne relatively shortly. And yep, he's going to use a little bit of battery there on corner exit to try and stay within range of Main Wayne as they head down the front straightaway down to turn 1. And yeah, Raiden has shown his pace here. So he's starting to pull away from Main Wayne. I see Rizzy getting the fastest lap. Conditions continue to let up, and the pace tends to improve as the race goes on as well. And this is the battle for the win. I was really debating on putting Raiden in my podium for the race, but I ended up picking his teammate instead. And I did pick Segrist as well, and Segrist is losing time to Ben Swerven, but we'll see where he comes out in comparison to these guys. If he ever does decide to pit, but I'm sure he's going to be pitting here pretty shortly if he wants to remain in contention for the podium at this point in the race. But he is going to stay out another lap. Raiden Shogun continuing to increase the gap on his teammate and close in on Ben Swerven for that position. We enter lap 21, and look like Raiden put up a purple sector 3, so his pace is continuing to improve. He's probably the fastest guy on the track right now, and this is the battle for P1 on track. And I'm not sure what Ben Swerven's history is, but definitely will be his first win on the year. I will get the statistics pulled up. And this could be a big win for Ben Swerven if he were to hold everybody off and go for the win. Yeah, that is a good question, Raikkonen. Is Segrist going for the zero-stop strategy? I wouldn't recommend it, but we'll see what he ends up doing. Yeah, he's got a big gap, but I'm just looking at the delta, and you think about the fact that we have 12 laps to go in this race. Even if he does do the zero-stop strategy, I mean, he's going to have to maintain that gap. It is decreasing by a lot, and it looks like the conditions are continuing to slowly let up. We are definitely in intermediate conditions at this point in the race, so Ben Swerven would be looking for his first career victory in the Golden Class if Segrist does not maintain that first position, but he is going to have to hold off Raiden Shogun, who did get his first win earlier this season in China and has put on a phenomenal rookie campaign, being third in points and looking to win a Constructors' Championship in his rookie season, but he is draining the battery. They are slipstreaming down the back straightaway, trying to work with the slipstream. Raiden wants it, Ben doesn't. Main Wayne, he wants a slipstream, but he does want to get away from SBM slipstream because SBM is staying around half a second behind him. And I mentioned before that SBM does have a very impressive podium streak going, which only 2 drivers have been able to maintain throughout this season, which is him and B-Tom. And unironically enough, they are both the championship leaders in their respective classes, and I can wonder why, because they have both finished on the podium in every race of the season, but SBM is in pretty good jeopardy of losing it to Main Wayne. And really, he could lose it to Segrist, but I really don't think this is going to work out for Segrist. I mean, he is losing multiple seconds a lap, and you notice the pace is just going to keep getting better. Ben Swerven fastest lap. And I can imagine Raiden Shogun was not far off of that lap. Yeah, he's only a few tenths off, and all these guys are in the low 129, so Yeah, Seagrass' best lap. I mean, he is multiple seconds off the pace. He is not going to keep this pace up to where he can maintain first position. So if I were Seagrass, I would just pit. You're going to get some time back by pitting because you'll be on a little bit fresher tires, but just looking at the Delta, he's not going to maintain the lead. There's just no way he's going to maintain the lead. We still have 11 laps left, and he's losing multiple seconds a lap. He's going to lose a podium at this rate, so if I were him, yeah, he's going to fall in behind SBM either way. So I would just take your losses and just come in and get some fresh green tires. It's good to eat green foods, and in this scenario, it's good to wear green tires. So green is the magic color at this point in the race, and you might as well embrace that. SC Rizzy, whoa, man, I wish I didn't cut away from that. That was a downhill overhead shot. And you know what? I think we're going to get a bit of a uphill overhead shot here. Oh, wow, this is actually really cool. Yeah, that's part of the reason I like this track. The elevation changes are second to none. I mean, look at him as he heads down the hill in turn 15. That is a great overhead shot of C. Rizzy. Uh-oh. F&D cakes. Another penalty. Yeah, his race is definitely up in smoke at this point in the Grand Prix. I do want to focus on this battle for P2 on track. Raiden Shogun just got a purple Sector 1, and he is there on Ben Swerven and has pulled away from his teammate. Oh, and he gets a penalty. Oh no, that is the commentator's curse if I have ever seen one, ladies and gentlemen. I think I should make a book. How to curse the grid when you are commentating. It will be published after the season ends in a couple of weeks. I think I should put it out after the All-Star race because really, I mean, the season does end in a few weeks. The finale is next week, but the season does end in a few weeks at the All-Star race. I think after that I'll publish a book. I'll put it on Amazon, so just keep an eye out for that. But Raiden was looking good, but now that he has that penalty, it is looking very good that Ben Swerven will win the race, but he does have to fight him on track. Raiden Shogun thought about it, but will stay in line for now as they head into turn 3. He does get a good run out of turn 2. Goes to the outside, thinking about a switchback to set himself up for the uphill turn 4 left-hander. He does get a good run out of that corner. Ben Swerven going defensive. Into the hairpin they go. Contact made. A little bumper cars. He's going to push him wide. They both go off the racetrack in the hairpin. Raiden Shogun has the advantage. And he gives the position back. Definitely hard racing between those two. Almost reminiscent of my battle with Capitan in that area of the track on the last lap of yesterday's race, which ended in a little bit of contact, but it was all good though. We kept our car straight, and it looks like Raiden and Ben Swerven keep their car straight as well. Speaking of straight cars, this allows Mainway and SBM to close in. Looks like we have a 4-way battle for the podium. Raiden probably not going to win this race with that penalty, unless if Ben Swerven decides to do the same thing. And you know what? I have a feeling they're going to see Seagrass. Oh no! Seagrass has retired! And that is a safety car. He has retired off the final corner of the track. Out of the lead. And Raiden Shogun just got a penalty for getting into the back of Ben Swerven. Chaos. Oh no, and it just keeps happening. Sir Charles exceeded the Delta. He gets a drive-through. What has just happened in the last 30 seconds of this race? That is unbelievable. 3 drivers with unbelievable circumstances. 2 of them with penalties. One of them because he got into the back of Ben Swerven, and I think I saw that at the last second. I'm pretty sure I saw him either get close or make contact with Ben Swerven. He did have to check up. And that is Raiden's race up in smoke. So Ben Swerven is in a very ideal position at this point in the race, but he does have to deal with a safety car. And if you know anything about safety cars, in Season 15 of this class, SBM has been the safety car king. Last week, he was not in the lead in the latter portions of that race, ended up pitting. Actually, no, he stayed out on track while everyone else pitted behind him, and he somehow held everybody off on old medium tires. But I'm telling you, if we had one more lap in that race, Omega would have passed him. But regardless, SBM knows how to get it done late in these races, which is why he has a perfect podium streak. 2 weeks ago, in Italy, he ended up having a 5-second penalty under a VSC, and then it quickly turned to a safety car. He dodged back into the pits to get rid of that penalty, and he ended up winning the race because he didn't have a 5-second penalty. So when safety cars come out, SBM is the guy to look for, and you do not want to count this man out. I think his perfect podium streak is going to continue, but we have Raiden coming into pits probably to get rid of that 5-second penalty, and I'm not sure what wing damage he has, but if he has any, this would be the time to do it. Let's see what he does. He's going to serve the 5-second penalty, and he does have a front wing in the hands of a crew member to be switched. Yep, he got into Ben Swerven with the left front wing of that car. So really, though, I mean, you look at the gap between he and Sir Charles, I think Sir Charles is going to get out in front of him. Same with Omega, but they both have penalties. So let's take a look at the penalties now on the grid. Charles has a drive-through. That's his penalty, so Charles is out of the picture. Omega has a 3-second. FND has 6. And by the way, this we thought FND's race was over, and this completely puts him back into things to be in contention to at least get a better spot. But he does have 6 seconds, and with his tendency for me to play the You Spin Me Round song at every point of this race, I don't know if FND has the racecraft and the penalties to go up and contend with these guys, but it is going to be... Oh, give me the helicopter. God damn. Whenever there's a chance to get a helicopter shot, I gotta get it now, but... Oh, you know what? This gives me a good opportunity to implement my next sound effect, which is a time-based sound effect. It is time for a late race safety car. Ben Swerven looking for his first career Golden Class victory, but he does have to hold off a Hungary McLaren driver of Main Wayne going for constructors. SBM clinching the Drivers' Championship in round 12, but he does have a streak that is in jeopardy of being broken. His perfect podium streak is on the line. He is going to be hungry. C. Rizzi. I almost put him in my podium. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a podium, because I did put him in my podium prediction. C. Rizzi, after being in the midfield all race, he went wide there. He's going to get himself in a penalty if he keeps doing that. Looking for a podium. Sir Charles, P5, has a drive-through. He will not be in contention, which is a shame because he started up in P3. Omega has a penalty, but he's looking for his second best finish of the year. Back-to-back weeks of his best finishes of the year. And then Raiden in P7. So that was your safety car recap. It is time to get things back underway. I think we will be all set and ready to go. FND Cakes does have a little bit more room in between him and the grid. He has to fill that gap. He's doing it right now, though. He's hustling to get back in contention. That way the safety car can come in this lap. But this will be yet another TCR late race safety car, which will result in what I assume to be a crazy finish. Yeah, JMB drama. I'm not sure this will be as chaotic as yesterday's finish with the podium guys, but you know what? We'll see what happens. Safety car is in this lap. Ben Swerven has a lot on the line, going for his first career Golden Class victory. Can he do it? Boy, he shifted down to neutral right there. He is making sure he's going as slow as he can here on this restart. But he's got a lot of competition behind him. The second and third place guys have won all but one race this season, not including sprints. Ben Swerven hits the gas. We're back underway on lap 28. He gets a pretty good restart ahead of Main Wayne and SPM, and as a matter of fact, SPM got a poor restart, as well as C. Rizzy, who is close to a second behind and is having to defend Sir Charles for the time being. They are not going for a position, but right now Sir Charles is there, so he could just disrupt things on track. P6 switching hands, Omega in behind Raiden, that is for position with the 3-second time penalties. And Omega will have to stay in line for now. Towards the front, Main Wayne closing back in a little bit, as well as SPM, after their starts were not as good as Ben Swerven's. But Ben Swerven has just a few laps to go until he wins his first Golden Class race, and really, we're seeing a trend here lately. It could be smaller grids, but last week Omega with his first podium, Ben Swerven looking for his first win and first podium of Season 15. And this is really, this is how you will know if you have earned it. Late race restart, having to hold off the two fastest guys in this class, who have won a combined 11 races this year. It's going to be tough for Ben Swerven to do this, but he has showed remarkable pace all day long, and he hasn't even touched the battery once. Neither has Main Wayne. SBM starting to use it. He knows he has to get a little bit closer if he wants to win this race, and you know what? If you look at the constructors, this position is huge between Main Wayne and SBM. Sir Charles has served his drive-through. His race was looking good up until that point. It's a shame. You know, there's been times where like people have protested penalties, but you know, I assume the Delta was right with Sir Charles. But even if it wasn't, like you think about it, you have to serve it regardless, or the game will disqualify you. So that's not one of those things you can really protest. So it's a shame for Sir Charles, but he will be finishing in P8 today, as long as he finishes. FND Cakes. You know what? FND is in for a decent finish here. If he gets by Omega and maybe gets a gap, he could get a P6, which, all said and done, that will be a great finish for him, considering the circumstances of this race. But he will slot in line for the time being. Maybe he won't. I was a little close there on corner exit, but turn 8 is very tricky with traction, so I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that today. Towards the front, this is the battle for a win and a podium. C. Rizzy looking to get on the podium today. And he's only had, let's take a look at his finishes. He's only had a single podium on the year. And a second best place finish of 4th. So I'm sure he doesn't want to finish 4th again. C. Rizzy wants to get his second podium finish of Season 15. And he's in a good spot to do it. But he only has a few laps left. Raiden Shogun, fastest lap, that's good for constructors. Into turn 1, SBM applying pressure to Main Wayne. And I'm sure Main Wayne is saying, man, you just clinched the championship, you've won most of the races this year. I want my moment to finish ahead of you and possibly put McLaren in a spot to where they can wrap things up next week and be your Season 15 Constructors Champions. To the inside goes Raiden Shogun on C. Rizzy in the hairpin. All three of these guys very tight for the 3rd spot. Side by side between Raiden and C. Rizzy as they head into turn 7. Raiden has to check up. And he will file into P5 through turn 8. Through this downhill section. Man, I love this part of the track. It's literally like riding a roller coaster. If you ever hear that phrase for riding a roller coaster at certain tracks, this is it. Oh no, C. Rizzy a penalty, and that puts him in a really bad spot, and he may not get a podium here today. So SPM, when it's all said and done, man, I'm telling you, it really looked like he was not going to get a podium here today. He didn't have the pace. He was around 4th or 5th, throughout the majority of this race, and with Seegers crashing out, causing that safety car, that really allowed him to get back into being in contention for a podium, and he is probably going to do it here with just a few laps left. P4, these guys are going for position on track. That was nearly contact. Raiden has to go off the track a little bit. They are still side by side. Into turn 3, these guys racing very hard. There's contact. Raiden has to go off the track a little bit. He's going to get a good exit out of turn 4. He has no battery left, but he is going to use whatever he has left. Into the hairpin. I think he's going to think about it. He's going to kind of send it, but he does not have the track position to be alongside C. Rizzy, and C. Rizzy maintains the 4th position. And this is for the win. Ben Swerven, after an unfortunate disconnect last week in Hungary, is looking to redeem himself in the best way possible. He was a silver class driver in season 14. He came into the golden class this season as a full-time driver. It's been a very up and down season for the Red Bull driver, but he is looking to finish this season off on an extremely high note and do what everybody dreams of doing when they start off their racing career. Ben Swerven looking for his first win in this class. Final lap for the Red Bull driver. He has just 15 corners left to do it. It has been a very uncompetitive grid this season. As a matter of fact, there's only been 3 race winners all season long. But Ben Swerven looking to beat the odds that Main Wayne and SBM are usually favored in and week out, and beat them head-to-head for the win. And really, he's been the guy all race long. Trouble for F&D Cakes. It's been a very down race for him, but he's going to salvage a decent finish for the time being. Towards the front, I think things are going to stay as they are for the top 3. Oh no! Ben Swerven just disconnected. Oh my goodness, just get to the line. Oh, and I can't invite PC people. Oh my goodness. This will be a head-to-head shot to the finish line. Ben Swerven disconnecting with just a few corners remaining allows Main Wayne to make a last lap overtake and go for the victory. I don't believe this. Off the final corner, Main Wayne steals the Portuguese Grand Prix round 13. I don't believe what just happened. Oh dear. That is beyond heartbreaking for Ben Swerven. He gets a podium. And I know he disconnected, but I think that should count because we're 90% of the way through the race. Yikes, man. We'll try and get him in for an interview. We'll see what he has to say about that. Honestly, like, even if I could invite him back, there was just no way. I mean, literally, we had 3 corners left. Like, he wasn't going to win the race. It takes a little bit of time to reconnect. I don't think he could have even gotten back in time, so... Main Wayne steals one for his 5th victory of the season in the most unpredictable way possible. Ben Swerven did everything right. He had the pace today. Legitimately should have won the race. And hats off to Main Wayne. I mean, he was there. Yeah. If there were a TCR luck compilation... this would be the first installment of that compilation. Unreal. I'm speechless. I don't know if I've ever seen that. But Main Wayne, deserved. He had the pace today. Started second. He was up there most of the race. Gets the win, and great for McLaren and constructors. They're going to be in a really good spot going into next week with Raiden getting the fastest lap. So they did come away with 36 points today. Compared to SBM's 18, if I do the math, they're going to have a looks like a 14-point lead going into next week on Mercedes. So all they really need to do, I think, is just show up. Both of them need to show up next week, and I think they need to both finish the race too, like finish, in the top 5 probably. But they both had a pretty good showing today. Raiden gets the fastest lap. Segrist, man, I mean, Segrist was probably not. He had to pit, I think, either way. But he was in the lead when he crashed out and caused that safety car. He put his teammate really in a prime position to win the race, and I think Ben Swerven did everything right. But yeah, no, that's crazy. We'll see if we can get Ben Swerven in for interviews. He is a PC guy, and trust me, we will have everything sorted out next season when we can have stuff on Discord. Maybe we'll be a little bit better. Maybe the game won't disconnect people, and Ben Swerven can win the race. And yeah, just unreal. But we'll get the PlayStation guys in here for their interview, and we will start this off. Yeah. Thanks to everybody who watched on YouTube today. We did have some issues with the Twitch getting that going. I literally don't know why, but we still had a good race. Seems like whenever I'm in the booth, we have a last lap pass for the win, and we have another one today. That was probably the most unfortunate way to do it, but we had a good finish there. Quite a crazy finish with the safety car coming out, the leader crashing out of the race late in the going, but that's what happens sometimes. That's how the cookie crumbles. But we have Main Wayne and SBM added. We'll get actually no, we'll call him here. Hello, you got me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have our third place finisher, Ben Swerven here today. Man, I don't know what to say, man. You were so close to getting your first win in this class. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm bummed out. I don't know. The game just froze up mid corner on me there. I'm just glad I had pace and a kind of clean race the whole race, and that strategy paid off. I kind of thought pitting, I think it was lap 14, and then it still was kind of wet. So I was just so happy that ended up paying off for me, letting those ride out.
Yeah. And really, you were put in a good spot when your teammate ended up crashing out of the lead on lap 24. Just take me through that and just what you had to do to at least hold off Main Wayne and SVM.
Well, once my teammate wrecked out, I contemplated pitting. I really did contemplate pitting, but I just didn't want to take the chance of having to battle back through. So from there, I just kind of knew it was just getting a good start at the restart of that, and it seemed like for some reason I felt like I had some lower aero, so I felt like if I could just pull away, and I had almost full battery the whole race, so I just felt like if I had that, I was gonna take her in for those last 5 laps.
Yeah, I mean, I really think you had the fastest car all day. I mean, you had the pace, and I mean, regardless though, is this good just to finish off the season with such a high note and being as quick as you were?
Yeah, no, definitely so. How many more races do we have?
2? We have one more next week.
Oh, one more. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, definitely then. Yeah, I'm super excited that at least I finished third. They were saying so. Or obviously that's why I'm in on the chat.
Right.
Yeah. So no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited to get some points for the team and maybe get myself out of, maybe just in the top 10.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you redeemed this week because last week you had the disconnect, and I've shown it on here before, but basically my friends list is blacked out. There was a point where I was setting up a lobby one day and my screen froze, and because of that, I can only invite people through PlayStation now. So,
I
this
see.
yeah, this game is whack, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping for 23 to be a lot better.
yeah, no, I agree, 100%. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, still a great race though. I'm sure
Yeah,
you're
we'll
going to
go
be
back and watch it. Yeah.
yeah right up there at the front next week. But yeah, no, it's good to talk with you, and congrats on the podium.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. All right. I don't see Main Wayne or SPM in here. They have been added, but we will try and get them in here. But yeah, no, I don't want to poop on the game. It's really easy to do that because I don't think it's unknown that there are some loopholes with this past game. I think the physics are fine. I think it's a good operating game. At least Formula One has one compared to NASCAR. But I think when they added crossplay, it just really screwed things up. It made inviting people difficult. It made things on the PC side of things to be very risky when you race. Ben Swerven is a PC guy, and he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't put a foot wrong all race. Really, he had a late safety car. He had to hold off the two of the fastest guys in TCR, arguably. And Main Wayne showed up at Canada in the Platinum class and legitimately competed for the win there. So Ben Swerven did everything right, and disconnects happen, but it's been a little more common this season compared to others. So we have one more race left. We'll get through it. We'll transition to the next game, and things will be a lot smoother, I think, going forward. But we'll wait a couple more minutes here to see if SBM and Main Wayne are able to join. If not, we'll sign off and we'll resume Portugal action tomorrow night. And you're going to want to tune in. We've had two back-to-back crazy finishes. Silver, it wasn't for the win, but we had a really good battle for the podium yesterday, and there was a little beating and banging, good hard racing, but that was what happened yesterday. Today, obviously, we had the last lap battle. Ben Swerven, so close to his first win, and I'm sure he's going to get his win here. If not next week, it'll happen next season. I've noticed his pace get better as the season goes on, and keep in mind he is a rookie driver in this class. At least I believe. I know he was silver last season, but I know he reserved a lot, but I believe this was his first full golden season as a full-time driver. So, yeah, I believe that will do it for tonight. Portugal tomorrow night, and if you're looking for the golden class, things wrap up next week in Belgium for the season finale, and the Drivers' Championship is wrapped up, but the Constructors' Championship is within 14 points, I believe, going into next week. So, it is tight. I think McLaren has a good shot at winning it, but if Tebow and SBM both show up, it's not over by any means. But that will do it. It was a chaotic and sometimes difficult race tonight, but we made through it, and Main Wayne ended up pulling through and winning the race. My name is Camden Luca, and that will do it. We will see you tomorrow night for round 13 of the Platinum class, and next week for the Golden class in Belgium. Have a good night.